The weather here in the UK is getting pretty cold, and I've certainly been lacking some jumpers and hoodies as part of the capsule wardrobe. So today I'm going to share with you my top 5 sewing patterns. Now, I used to love autumn and winter weather, but since being married to a sexy Spanish man, I definitely much prefer summer at the minute. And as part of the capsule wardrobe collection, I noticed I was missing some hoodies and jumpers that I can throw in as part of kind of the capsule. And I needed stuff that was suited to the style that I was going for, as well as the color palette. So there's some go-to sewing patterns for hoodies and jumpers. There's a couple that I'm going to share today, but then I also wanted to find some new ones that I've never sewn up before. So this is going to be kind of my top 5 sewing patterns that I've found, either through indie sewing pattern companies or on Etsy. And all of the materials that I've made the jumpers out of are from Minerva, and I've used a mixture of fleece. There was some ripstop fabric in there and some poly cotton fleeceback sweatshirt material as well. So I'm going to go through them one by one, show you a bit of the making process, what they look like in the end, and my final thoughts. So let's start with number 1. So I have my laptop down here just so I can read you some of the pattern descriptions, but the first pattern I went for was one by Vicky Sews. Now, they're quite a well-known pattern company in the sewing world, and I've made quite a few of their patterns before, and I do really like them. Some people don't really like the instructions, but I find them really useful, and I always learn a lot when I'm using their patterns. And I've made a couple of their sweatshirts and hoodies in the past, but I've picked one that I've never made before, and that's the Noala sweatshirt. And I really like this because it kind of has this raglan style sleeve with some of the paneling details, and it's a little bit cropped as well. And I find a lot of kind of hoodie and jumper patterns, for me, I've got a fairly short torso. They just seem to be a bit too long in the body, so I thought this one was going to be a great fit. Noala is a loose fitting sweatshirt. It has a shaped front and back and a round neckline finished with a ribbing neckband. The grown on faux raglan sleeves are long, oversized and feature decorative panels. The cuffs and waistbands are made of ribbing. Noala is above hip length. So I didn't extend the Noala jumper. I liked where it kind of finished, and I really liked the oversized sleeves as well. You gather the grown on raglan sleeves into a cuff as well, so you do have a bit of gathering at the cuff. And I made this out of some sweatshirt fabric, and it's so comfy. I really like this as a layering piece. I did find that it is a little bit cropped for me, so I do have to kind of tuck my t-shirt in when I'm wearing this. But I really like that kind of boxy, oversized fit of this jumper, and I think it brings a sporty vibe with these paneling details on the sleeves, and I think it'll look really great in different colors if you do want to sew this one up. Now, the next pattern that I wanted to make was just a basic hoodie. I think it's really great for layering, especially if you put it underneath the jacket as it's getting colder. So I found this pattern by, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, but Sewing Ilgi Patterns on Etsy. And I used their Hush Zip Up hoodie, which is available in 2X to 3XL. And this one was a really cool hoodie to sew up. They've got kind of this detail on the hood where it kind of, rather than the hood being sewn directly kind of into where the zip finishes, the zip comes up into the hood, so you kind of get this band here when you zip it up fully. There's a really good size range on this, and it's described as an oversized hooded zip up with a slightly high neck design. The cuffs and hem are finished with ribbing. This is a mid hip length. So I did actually use ribbing on this one. I actually found this one to be a little bit shorter when I was looking at the pattern, so I did extend this in length a little bit, but I really like kind of the fit of this, and I think again this is going to be great for layering. And I just really like that hooded detail, that high neck that's on the hood. I thought that just helped elevate the pattern a little bit. So whilst it's quite a simple one, it was a really easy one to sew up, and it's got the 2 pockets on the sides and drawstring in the hood. I'm just popping in to see if you're enjoying the video, and if you are, I'd very much appreciate a like and subscribe. I really enjoy making these videos, and if you're looking for more sewing and capsule wardrobe content, then click that subscribe button for more. The next pattern is actually one of my favorites, and I've sewn this quite a few times, and this is the Oscar pullover by Sewing Machina. I really like this pullover. It's got kind of that quarter zip style, but again, lots of paneling that you could do some fun color blocking on. I've made this for myself and a few other people and really played around with the color blocking. I've tend to always made it in a fleece fabric, but I'm actually wearing this one now, and I've made this one in the sweatshirt and played around using kind of the red and the off-white fabric as well on some of the detailing. And this is a pretty easy one to sew as well. The zip kind of insertion is really detailed in the instructions. It's not that complicated. I guess the only tricky bit is when you're sewing in kind of this front panel here, because there are lots of curves as you're piecing the front together. So just to get them even could be quite challenging. This one is described as an oversized pullover with dividing seams at the front and sleeves and either half zip or round neck. It has elasticated cuffs and hem. The pullover comes in 2 different lengths, cropped and normal. So I went with the half zip and the full length. I've not cropped this one, and I didn't elasticate this one at the waist either, but I did elasticate at the cuffs. And for this pattern, you do get a lot of variation. So obviously you can kind of go with the cropped version or the non-cropped version. You've got the option to put the zip in, or you could just do some binding around the edge as well. So you've got a few different variations with this one, but I do really like the fit of this one. And it does come in a good size range as well. The sizing is done by lettering, so you've got kind of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. So you've got kind of 6 sizes, but I'd say they kind of go from kind of that extra small to maybe like a double XL, XL. But definitely check your measurements, because it is kind of patterned differently in terms of the size chart on this one. The next one might actually be my favorite. I really enjoyed making this one. I'd not sewn this one up before, and this is the Polar Puff Fleece. It's listed on Etsy as for women, but when I was watching the YouTube video, they mentioned that, you know, you can obviously adjust it for more of a masculine frame, and all I did was kind of lengthen it a tiny bit, and it was still kind of that cropped length that I was looking for. And this is by Isa in Stitches. And there's no written instructions for this. It's a YouTube video that's really useful to follow along. I really like having video tutorials. And again, this one comes in different versions, so you can just kind of have the placket at the front, or you can make it a full zip up, which I did. It's got pockets on the sides, which are zipped, and a pocket on the breast as well, which is zipped in, and I used some ripstop fabric for that. You've got kind of cords on the bottom as well, so you can adjust it in there, and it is slightly oversized and comes with raglan sleeves. And the size range for this is really good. It's an extra small to a 4XL. I would say out of all of the jumper patterns that I'm recommending in this video, this is probably the most challenging just for getting those zip pockets kind of perfect and the zip installation on the front as well. It's also got that high collar, so there's a bit of work that you have to do there, but this was a really fun one to sew. So if you do pick one from these 5, I'd definitely try this one. And the final pattern, again, could potentially be seen as a simple one. It's just a over the head hoodie, but I wanted to find a pattern that, again, I could play with some color blocking rather than it just being all plain. So I found this one. It's called the Frankie Oversized Hoodie from Tiana's Closet. Comes in an extra small to a 5XL, so again, a huge size range. And similar to the Oscar, it's got kind of these curved front pieces where you put these pockets in. So it comes with pockets, and everyone loves pockets. And there's the option as well to put a drawstring at the bottom if you wanted to cinch the waist in. I didn't on this one. Now, I did use some of the sweatshirt fabric from Minerva, but this was the last one I made, and the fabric inside is really soft and fleecy and keeps you nice and warm. But I wanted to play around with the texture, so I actually sewed this one inside out. Now, I don't know if it's the best choice because it starts to pile really quickly, but I actually quite like the texture it brings. And all I do is just go over it with kind of one of the lint rollers, if it catches any dirt. But it's still really comfy to wear, and I really like the added kind of texture that changing the fabric round. And I'm a true believer that fabric doesn't have a right or wrong side, that's down to you. So I really liked how this one turned out, and again, it was a super quick sew to pull together, and there's just a couple of options that you can personalize this one with too. This one is described as an oversized hoodie with a design that brings some flow. So that's my top 5 hoodie, jumper, fleece sewing patterns that I would recommend. I certainly hope you enjoyed the video and try some of them out. And if you do send me a link to the photos, as I'd like to see your versions too. And I'll see you next time.